This imposing beast is a RCA model 811K. Now I forget, I think the 811K was made in, geez, I want to say 1938, but I'm not sure. It doesn't matter, this is a monster. Now, I'm about to start on this one. I've never done one of these before. And I've already done a power up test. Before I started making videos, I powered this up slowly on the Variac, and sure enough, it makes sound. It plays okay, and I really don't want to cart the speaker inside and risk handling it, knowing what I already know, that it does make sound, and that there are certain things on it that aren't working right now, that are not working. One of those things is one of the features that makes the 811K a special radio, and that is the motorized tuning with all the electric presets. So there are the discs that the presets are set up on. There is the motor for the motorized tuning, and there's all the clockwork, the gear work to make that operate. Right now the motor's not operating. When I tested it, the motor did not operate. Now, does that mean that the motor is bad? Not necessarily. I haven't tested the windings yet. I just put power to it and it didn't work. So that's it could be anything. It could be some switch contacts that aren't making up, whatever. Because I put power to the radio and operated the switches. So we'll see about the motor. But there is a risk that the motor won't operate. And the customer, for this customer, that motorized tuning is quite important to that person. So I've got to figure it out. Now, would they go to the expense of rewinding the motor if they needed to? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Who knows? But meanwhile, there's a lot more going on in this tube. Check out that eye tube. You don't see very many of those anymore. I think that's a 6U5G. It might be a 6E5G. I'm not sure. But in any event, you don't see many that are with the Coke bottle shape. Usually you see the GTs. Oh, 6G5. Okay, cool. Very cool. That's right. I forgot. There was something different about the iTube. So I actually have already sourced a new old stock one of those. And I remember it not being that easy to find. All these lights, most of them are working okay. There are a couple that aren't, but that could just be light bulbs. Remember, I just did a macroscopic test so I could give an estimate. These are the contacts that are operated by the push buttons that make the electric tuning work. So I'll have to figure out just what's going on with those. Maybe they have something to do with it. There's the release for them. And see, that's how they work. And then I'm not sure just how it all functions, but I will. So I got this radio in some time ago, but I'm just now kind of catching up on a backlog of radios to repair. And I just want a starter video on this because I haven't done a video on this radio at all yet. Just so I can kind of get a look at some of the condition if I need to refer back to stuff. And it's interesting to see where I'm starting for a series I'm going to do. Because I'm going to try and do a full series on this radio. I'm going to try actually to set up my camera on a tripod, my other video camera, and see if I can't make that work. I have a lot of trouble, like some people, going off camera all the time. So I'll have to maybe put some reference lines on my bench or something to make sure I stay on camera. I noticed when I was working on this before, there's a lot of buildup around the transformer. So I don't know if it was leaking, if it was oozing or what. So I hope it hasn't gotten hot. It didn't get hot when I was testing it. I would have noted that, and it did not get hot then. So we'll see what's happening there. Let's tilt this up and get a look underneath. One other thing I want to note before I do that, all the tube shields are present. That's a really good thing. The thing, like I said, the thing did work. I think all the tubes, were working, but I'll test them, of course. But I mean, that's a good macroscopic test is, hey, am I picking up radio stations? If I am, then I know certain fundamentals don't have to be worried about. So let me tilt this up. I'll pause it for just a second. All right, there we go. This is the underside of the 811K. It's pretty clean. Looks like all the original capacitors. I don't see, on the first scan, I don't see any replacements. Sometimes you'll find that papers have been replaced with papers if it was an old repair. I don't find that often, but maybe other folks do. The thing I do notice about this, though, for as complicated a radio as this is, and it is, boy, it's going to be pretty straightforward working under the chassis. That work will be good. What I also see is some of this stuff. You see the wire? Yeah. Gosh, I hate this. Anytime I get a late 30s radio, I could see that wire and not know when the radio was made, and I can tell you when the dang radio was made. You know, this would be 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. After the war, they seem to use that more modern wire insulation that kind of smells funny and gets sticky, but it works well. It doesn't do this. So I'll be damned. It's going to be every wire in this radio. Look at that. Okay, so there's the hitch, okay? It'll be straightforward replacing components. There's some cloth wire, but it's mixed in there. Look at that. See? I can't let that go. This is all has to be replaced. I don't care. It's not touching things. If bare wire was acceptable, believe me, with the cost, with the way the guys back in the day counted beans, they would have put bare wire in there if you didn't need insulation. So this has to be good insulation. That means all this stupid rubber-coated wire will have to be replaced. I see some more modern-looking carbon composition resistors in there. Don't know if they were added later. I see a couple with some spaghetti tubing on them. Maybe they were added later. So I think my main issue here is going to be with replacing rubber insulated wire. See, there's lots of that. That looks like a B+ wire too. So RCA was pretty good about following color schemes, and B+ was usually red in their radio. So you'll see it chase all over the place. So I don't want that. But the really cool stuff is that the switches and pots all look pretty clean. The band switch looks pretty decent. Easy to get to, easy to clean. Okay, so that won't be any issue. All this stuff's going to be pretty simple to do in terms of having space to work. Just going to be a lot of point-to-point wire replacement. Gosh, I hate doing that. That's just such a pain. It takes so dang long. That'll double the length of time it takes to do a radio. If I'm just replacing components, I can get in and out of there pretty fast in a few days. If I'm doing wire, I'm at it for a week. Okay, so there's the bottom side. I think it's going to be okay as far as knowing what I can do. Some pretty sophisticated mechanical workings in this thing. I imagine my 812K is the same, and my 816K. Geez, I don't even want to think about getting to that one yet. But, so, I don't know what else to say. Here's a first look at this radio. And, we'll show more videos as we proceed through the project. This is my project now. I'm starting this on the 8th of November. That's all for now.